Okay, my rad artists, we now have our drawing, okay? And we have it all outlined in black. Now, I'm going to start like I've started all of my other rad drawings that I've done with yellow. I like yellow for the letters because they really pop and stand out. And then for my little kind of highlight color on each of the letters, I'm going to be using orange. Orange and yellow are really nice and they blend really well together. They're right next to each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to use them. They're kind of like friends, right? So these little shine marks that we drew, we don't want to color over them. We just want to color around them. And remember, when you're drawing, try to move your paper around rather than your wrist. And that will help you from hurting yourself and getting tired too easily. Now, I'm pressing relatively hard because I really want the yellow to stand out, okay? Yellow is a light color. You don't have to press hard. You can have a nice light colored yellow for your letters, or if you absolutely do not want to use yellow, you can choose a different color. I like yellow because it's so bright and I really wanted my letters to stand out. All right, so I've got my R almost complete. And before I switch on over to my A, I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to just put a few areas of orange just in between those funny lines that we drew and the outside edge of the R. So I'm going to fill that space in with some orange. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the letter look a little bit more interesting. And it's going to give it sort of like a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. Kind of like it's a round bubble rather than just a flat drawing. It is a flat drawing, but we want to give the impression that it's not. All right, one last one, and you can even put a little bit of orange on, or whatever color you're using, right on the other side of that shine too. Okay, now I'm going to do that with all three of my letters, the same thing. Remember to avoid that center area. That part is supposed to stay white. Now again, I'm trying my best to stay inside these lines. Yellow's a light color, so even if I do go outside of the lines a little bit, you probably won't see it like I just did right there, but you can't see it. But we want to try, right? It takes practice. Not all things in art come easy to everybody. I noticed that with my students, some students think certain things are super duper easy and other students think some things are super duper hard. So everybody's got kind of a different way of going about things. Now I'm going to take my orange, go on the outside of those funny little lines that we drew. I guess the only way to really describe them is shape lines. They're also called contour lines. So they help to show the shape of whatever you're drawing. Since this is a bubble, these lines help to show that our bubble is round. And the technical term for that is contour lines. Okay, last letter. We've got our D. And then we can move on to the next fun thing. Okay. Now if you get tired or if I'm going too fast for you, you can pause the video, go get a glass of water, do some wrist stretches. Ooh, that feels good. And then come back. I'm going to try and use up the whole last bit of my pencil. Look, it wants to get sharpened really bad, but I'm not going to do it. Not yet. Okay. There we go. The last bit of yellow. Just to even out the color a little bit so it doesn't look so scratchy. All right. Now, my last little bit of orange. And I'm going relatively fast. If I really wanted to shade this slower and really make it look three-dimensional, it would take quite a while. But we're going for kind of a cartoony look here. So I don't need to be on video for hours showing you. I just want to give you a taste of how to do these little techniques here. All right, so got my little bit of orange on all of the corners, and I think I'm pretty happy with my letters. Now for the bubbles, we're gonna move on to the bubbles here. I have a really pretty kind of aqua color. Now you could make your bubbles whatever color you want, but I'm gonna show you a little trick to making your bubbles, once again, look a little bit three-dimensional. So I'm going to start by coloring them in kind of light, and I'm going to leave the little shine mark alone. I'm not going to color that in. So here's my light color. I'm not pressing very hard because I want it to be colored in lightly. And then if I look at the opposite side of the shine, this is the opposite side, I'm going to add kind of a dark area. I'm going to follow the curve of this circle shape that I did, and I'm going to make it look like a form. I'm going to make it look three-dimensional just by coloring it in darker. See that? Now it looks a little bit more round. That's what I'm going to do with all of my bubbles. Color it in lightly, and then on the opposite side of the shine, add a little dark area. Okay? And you go ahead and you can do that with yours. Now, if you want your bubbles to be each a different color, that would be kind of cool. Maybe you want to have a rainbow bubble. Okay, it's up to you. I'm going to keep all of mine aqua. And then for my background, I'll be using purple. Now this one, because we went off the page, this one got a little bit cut off, but there is still a little sliver of the background showing. So I'm going to keep adding a little bit of dark just to that little corner there, okay? It still gets a little taste of three-dimension. Got a bunch of little tiny bubbles here. And some at the top. And then we can move on to our stripes as well. The RAD stripes have particular colors that they have for their logo. So I'm going to use those, but you can use whatever you've got. Maybe at home you only have 2 colored crayons. Well, you can use those 2 colors. Okay, we're getting there. One last bubble. Now you can always add things as well. Maybe instead of just bubbles floating through the air, maybe your bubbles are floating through some water. Maybe you want to draw some fish. Who knows? All right, let's do the stripes. Now the first stripe is kind of a light pink, okay? And this stripe, as you can see, it starts on one side of the D and ends over here. So we have to make sure we do the entire stripe. Okay, so I'm coloring it in a light pink. That's what the color is on the logo. And I'm being careful to color around my bubble. Okay, now the next colored stripe is a dark pink, almost like a magenta. What color is this? This is called processed red. But if you don't have processed red, which probably don't, then you can get a magenta or just press harder with your pink pencil. See the difference there? It's kind of a darker one. Or if you don't want to use either of those, if you want this stripe to be brown, you use brown. Whatever color you want. Okay, the next one is my favorite. I love lime green. All-time favorite color. I don't know why, I just have always really liked it. Okay, I'm gonna color that in nice and straight across. And our next color is actually gray, but I don't have gray, so I'm using silver. So this gray is gonna be kind of shiny. Now, if you don't have anything gray and you do have a pencil, you can use a pencil. Pencil lead or pencil graphite is actually pretty gray, so it's perfect. Now you can see that I had a little trouble there. I keep drawing on my desk, and if you find that you're drawing on your tabletop, whatever you're working on, try and put something underneath your paper so that you don't ruin your desk. Now the last stripe is blue, and I'm going to use a slightly darker blue than I used for my bubbles. I don't want these two blues to match, but maybe if you only have one blue, you want to use it. Okay. All right, so we've got our stripes. Now for the last step. One color for this background. Now remember, we're leaving this inside area of the bubble around the letters white, but for around this area, I picked out a light purple, okay? And you can go dark purple, you can go any color you want. This is just the one I chose because purple and yellow are called complementary colors. And when you put those two colors together, they actually help each other stand out. That's why they're called complementary. So I'm going to start at the top. I'll make my way around the word and come back down around. And remember, I'm going to steer clear of this area. So this black line, I'm going to follow it right around. Okay? I don't want to color inside of that area. That area is going to stay white, and I'm going to just leave it as like a nice white border. Once again, I'm turning my paper so that I don't have to turn my wrist too much. And what that does is it also kind of gives your pencil strokes some shape. You can see that I've kind of turned my paper, and then my pencil strokes are showing the shape of how I turned. Okay, I'll go on the outside here carefully. You see that I always hold my paper down when I draw, and that keeps my paper from kind of moving like that. I'm always holding my paper down. It's really important too when you are erasing anything that you hold your paper down with your other hand, because otherwise that paper just goes flying everywhere. Okay, we've got this nice purple color helping my yellow kind of pop out. Now purple and blue, like the color of our bubbles, purple is actually right next to blue on the color wheel. So they're like shoulder buddies. So those two colors are very similar. Anybody know why? Purple is actually made partially by the color blue. Purple is made from red and blue getting mixed together. Okay, we're getting close. I'm just being careful to color around my bubbles because I don't want to color over them. I'm staying outside of my word and that border. And then when I get up to the stripe, I'm going to avoid coloring over that stripe. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. Okay, so there you have it. You have either learned how to do some bubble letters and bubbles, or you just had a little more practice. It was super fun making this rad artwork with you. I hope you had fun as well.